set to go?
Yeah. And I think before I ask any of the big questions, I just want to tell you my story of my bear, of my Sheltie. So, I got him Christmas. I think it was like 1999 or something I got him.
How old were you?
I was about 6 or 7, I think.
6 or so.
Yeah. And I remember it really vividly because me and my older brother, we'd always have stockings at the end of our bed full of presents. And we'd run into each other's rooms and we'd empty them all out on the floor, but no one was awake yet, so we couldn't open them up. And I just remember picking up this package and these 2 legs sticking out because it wasn't wrapped properly. And that was Sheltie.
You don't have him there, do you?
I've got him upstairs if you want me to go get him.
Well, I'd like to see him, but maybe you don't want to take time on it.
I'll do the story and then I'll go get him, I think. But so yeah, and then he was just always there with me wherever I went, whatever I did. Sheltie was always there.
And you called him Sheltie from the beginning?
Yeah, because I had these books that I read as a kid called Sheltie the Shetland Pony. And it was all about this girl called Emma, and she had a Shetland pony called Sheltie. And I'd always wanted a Shetland pony since then. So whenever I got this stuffed pony, it's like, it's my own Sheltie. Yeah. I found Fred online from his own story about his own teddy bear. He speaks at conferences and such about teddy bears and children, and the idea of childhood objects. I asked him if he could shed some insight on my own relationship with Sheltie.
These bears and dolls and blankies are our first friends. But it's you who chooses this creature to make a beloved object and to talk to. And I think that's very important, because then in the rest of your life you keep doing that. The more you care about them, the more precious they become. They have become real. And then I say I can think of no more eloquent account of how this happens than this passage from Marjorie Williams' fairy tale, The Velveteen Rabbit. What is real? Asked the rabbit one day. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? Real isn't how you are made, said the skin horse. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up? He asked, or bit by bit? It doesn't happen all at once, said the skin horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily or have sharp edges or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly except to people who don't understand. I suppose you are real, said the rabbit, and then he wished he had not said it, for he thought the skin horse might be sensitive. But the skin horse only smiled. The boy's uncle made me real, he said. That was a great many years ago. But once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always.
If you hadn't had Sheltie and were as fond of Sheltie as you were, I don't think I would have had the thought to get Sprinter. They were connected because you loved the Sheltie books, so you loved the stories of the Shetland ponies. You loved Shetland ponies. Anytime we saw Shetland ponies, you went mad. And you loved Sheltie. So, I mean, if it wasn't for the Sheltie books and Sheltie, I don't think I'd have had the thought to get Sprinter. You know, they definitely were connected. And perhaps Shelty, the toy, would not be the symbol to you that he is now if you hadn't had Sprinter.
Here's Susie's phone.
Susan and I were at the show just up the road, about 2 miles away from here. And this wee Shetland pony was tied up beside this big horse lorry, which was obviously just there for sale because otherwise people don't take them unless it's that. And he was just exactly like Shelty in terms of colour and, you know, the size.
I can't run that fast.
So I was able to find who owned him and I said, is he for sale? And they had said yes, so we bought him.
What's his name?
Sprinter. It's a miniature Shetland.
A miniature Shetland. Isn't he lovely?
Would you like him?
Yeah.
You sure? Is he what you wanted? Sprinter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Shelty.
I just thought you'd love him. He was just like Shelty. Why wouldn't you love him? You love the stuffed version, so you'd probably love the live version too.
Yeah.
But you were just in awe of this little pony, who was just exact. I thought you'd have called him Shelty.
No, but because he was already called
I know,
Sprinter. Oh my God.
yeah. But he is so.
I always remember when we first got him and he used to sprint. When he could move.
His name became a bit ironic later on.
I know it really did. Also, I always remember when he used to run about and buck and stuff. And his little coat, his little teeny, like a dog coat. Just all the time. There's more little moments in the back of my mind. You're always like hugging him. I always just remember like watching you like walk up.
If I couldn't find you, if you were upset about something and I couldn't find you, I knew where you were. You were out sitting in the stable with Sprinter.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I remember going out to him a fair wee bit.
You would go out quite a lot if you were upset about anything. And you would just sit there in the dark with him, cuddling him.
Oh dear.
It wasn't well that long.
No.
Do you remember he had the hip problem first?
The first thing what do I remember? I remember his back knees locking up.
Yes, his back knees locked. So that was the first time we'd taken him to Bruce, and that was only about a year after we got him, I think.
Really?
But he did that quite quick operation and he recovered very quickly. But he really got lame quite
quickly.
I'd say we maybe about 3 years in was when he first got lame. And then he was just always lame.
Yeah.
We tried our best.
Spent a lot of time on, because we had the date down, we knew what date was going to happen, so I spent a lot of time before that out in the stable, just wanted to be with him as much as I could be before I couldn't anymore. It was hard to realise this is actually it, this is the end. I still haven't really realised it in a way, but it's just so much dread and fear. Complete fear and just confusion as well, because I couldn't get my head around that idea that he physically couldn't fight anymore. He could emotionally still fight, and he was still emotionally fighting right up to that point, but he just physically couldn't do it. I was just in this numb, I think is the word. Tears were falling, but I couldn't feel my fingers, I couldn't feel my legs, I couldn't feel anything. I was just like, this is it. And then I don't really remember what I was feeling. I just remember seeing it all happen and just crying and then walking away. It was just a very weird day. I don't really know how to explain my emotional state that day, because it was the end of a big chapter in my life.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised it's taken so long.
Yeah.
I think it's been a big burden that no one should have to carry around. I mean, you really... You need to appreciate all the time you had with him. He was a great pony, he had great friends, you loved him. But it's ruining part of what you're getting out of life, and that should never happen.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have wanted that to happen.
No.
Even if he could ever have the imagination to think that or say that. I just don't think you should. You need to appreciate it, keep it in your heart, but just let it go, really. I hope you can eventually accept that and move forward with things.
I wanted to speak to someone else who had been through what I had been through, but who had reacted differently. Valerie's a close family friend and owns a riding stables where I learned to ride, and she is no stranger to the loss of a horse.
Tea or coffee or hot chocolate or your tea or coffee?
I would love a tea.
Or green tea.
Please.
Can I have a tea, please?
Yes, sit down, make yourself at home. Well, he certainly was a dream come true. I mean, that was just amazing. It was. You were so lucky, and you should always, cherish that rather than you had him and he died. You should cherish that you were so lucky to have such a gorgeous pony. Yeah, and everybody, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
It's just making the most of it. I've never known anybody so attached to an animal as you. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
You never met any other children that were...
Yeah, but not just so that, it took over their lives. I know certainly when my horse died last year, or 2 years ago, it really, really, really broke my heart. But it was a horse, and it died, and I'm an adult, but, But yeah, it's time to go forward. Well, this is a nice closure, isn't it? Yeah, this is time to put them all in a big box, put a ribbon around it, and write a nice letter, and have done with it. And get on with it. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's been a good couple of years now.
Yeah, it's more than a couple of years.
5 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. There's more things to get on with than that.
It's not nice moving on.
It is, of course. It's when you accept it and you do it, and then it's next stage. Let's go.
Because most people, when people die, you do remember the good and you forget the bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you do.
I do remember all the good.
Yeah.
I think because he was so sick for so long.
I know.
And he was like my little dream of a Shetland pony.
I know.
So yeah, it was hard.
I mean, he was so young. You know, it wasn't fair. But nevertheless, you know, you do have to sort of, I think, try and go, well, if he'd been with anybody else, a pet pony, most people wouldn't have just tried as much as we did. That's what you really need to do. Yeah. Remember the joy that he gave you, so that actually you're happy when you think about him.
He had a fantastic life, but unfortunately it was short-lived. And I can't get past that I don't have him anymore.
What would it mean to get past?
I don't know. And that's what scares me as well, because I don't want to forget him. And I know I never will forget him, but if I put down Sheltie, is that a form of forgetting him almost?
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, okay, give me 1 minute. Stop. Oops. So this is my Sheltie.
Oh, wow.
He's very worn out here.
Yeah, I'm there. Up there? Or you held him there, I guess.
Yeah, I would always have him under my arm like this as a kid. Like, I'd eat with him under my arm, and I'd... So that's where...
Let me see his face again. That's cute. I had not realized that these two had merged for you. And that makes it pretty complicated. It would be easier to let Sheltie go, not in the sense of throwing him away, but not have to have him with you so much. If he had not become an embodiment of an actual creature that was not a transitional object, was a real horse, was a real creature that you loved and loved you. And so that makes it really hard. I think almost the opposite. That, no, you should not put him away. You should not deliberately hide him. Why? I believe that in some ways that the more you let yourself feel your tears and how much you miss him and talk about him, then the more you will work. That's a kind of therapy. A lot of people will say, put it behind you, get over it. And you don't get over it. You'll never get over it. You can hide it, and yeah, your life goes on. I'm sure your life goes on. I looked at all those photographs and your, what would you call it, your documents of where you've been to school and what you've done. So your life is going on. It's not holding you back. You know, if you read all the way through Little Prince, the fox towards the end tells him a secret, that the things that are really important you can't see, you can only feel them.
Since talking to Fred, we've become close friends. Talking to him has made me realise that Sheltie is not so much of a crutch, but a comfort. He is Sprinter, but he is also my childhood, and a part of me. But during the making of this film, I have realised that having Sprinter's objects in my room, such as his head collar, his boots and more, it is a constant reminder of Sprinter being ill. Every day I'd open my door and feel his head collar under my hand. In the beginning it was comforting, but now it's just distressing. I've realised I need to put these objects away, keep them, but not look at them. Sheltie is a reminder of the dream that Sprinter embodied, and because of Fred's reassurance, I've realised it is okay to have Sheltie around. I don't have to put him down. He is not just Sprinter, but he is also my first real friend.